Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an Ice Cold Sorcerer build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. I'll be covering the entire build alongside some gear that will make this quite a powerful class. So, we got here the Sorcerer level 1. What's nice about Sorcerers, you get Constitution saving throw proficiency. Now, for our cantrips that we're going to go with, Ray of Frost obviously for the Cold Sorcerer, this is going to be your early game damaging option. Shocking Grasp is nice as well because this can stop them from using reactions and is an advantage on targets with metal armor. Now we're going to be using a lot of create water, so minor illusion works very well for this because you can set up water, use minor illusion to pull people into it, and then blast them with your cold spells for double damage, which is really powerful. Firebolt is also a really nice one too because you can set up water with this too to then also blast them with Ray of Frost. So if you're the face of the party, you got to take friends. That's like a non-negotiable. So these three are kind of the essentials, and then friends if you're the face of the party, and Firebolt if not. There's also some merit in Mage Hand because Mage Hand can throw water bottles to set up cold damage again. So we also want to take Chromatic Orb because this is another early game cold spell that we can use. Magic Missile is pretty nice too, but I think it's best to go with like Shield early on. Chromatic Orb can be changed to cold damage or lightning damage, but Ice Knife is another nice early game spell to choose. So as far as the subclass, the Draconic Bloodline is actually going to be our best option for this because we can choose the White Ancestry here, which gives us an increased amount of cold damage later on. So that gets really good. At level 6, spells that deal cold damage are more powerful, and you become resistant to cold damage. Plus, we get Armor of Agathis, which is extremely powerful. This can be upcast, and it can give upwards of 30 health points and deal 30 cold damage to any creature that attacks you with a melee attack. So, a little bit extra survivability, and it's honestly such a great spell, so we're going to go with the Cold Dragon here. You can also give Featherfall if you really, really desire, but I think Armor of Agathis is by far the best here. We're not going to go with any scales on there. You can if you want. Now for the ability scores. This is where the build gets kind of interesting because we can spread things out a little bit differently depending on how we want to go about this build. So Charisma 17. If you're the main character, use the Hag's here to take that to 20. Otherwise, we can leave it at 16. We'll take our Constitution up to 16, and then the rest of the points are going into Dexterity. So something like that for our ability scores gives us a +2 to initiative. We can dump our intelligence. If you really want to use intelligence, you can use the there's the circlet of intelligence early on in the game, but we're going to go with something like this. But again, if this is your Tav, you can go 17 and then use that Hags here to take it up to 18, which saves us a point later on. So now I have the Frost Staff here, which is pretty easy to get early on in the game, so you can actually get this build online very early, but I want to take it through the full build here because this is quite a powerful class. And for our next level, Ice Knife or Magic Missile. I think Ice Knife is probably the preferred one here. It only deals 2d6 of cold damage, so you can get at max 12 cold damage, double to 24. So that's kind of nice, but Magic Missile is also another great option that can guarantee that you'll be hitting your target. So I actually like Magic Missile a little bit more than Ice Knife. I usually put Ice Knife on most builds, but the only issue with that is we have Chromatic Orb, which can be cold casted, and it deals more cold damage, so it just gets the edge on us. So for our meta magics, Twin Spells just definite pick because we can Twin Haste, give ourselves another action, and give someone else another action, which will completely turn the tide in any battle. And then Distance Spell increases the range of spells by 50%, so that's nice. And then our melee spells get a range of 9 meters, so we're going to go with that there. If you want, you can swap out some spells as we go around, but the Sorcerer doesn't get the ability to prepare spells like the Druids, the Wizards, and the Clerics do. Now, at level 3, we get to choose our level 2 spells, and this is where things get kind of interesting, because I'm a big fan of Hold Person, so hold the enemy still. They can't make actions, react, or move, and attacks within 3 meters always critical. This is really great for supporting the team. This can be upcast to cast to multiple people, so it's a really great spell. Mirror Image will increase your armor class by 9, which can be nice early game for survivability, so if you're on honor mode, you can consider taking Mirror Image. Misty Step is also a really nice one because the ability to move around the battlefield is just underrated, plus it's a bonus action, so that just is fantastic. But we're going to go with Hold Person just because the utility this brings is just absolutely unreal. Scorch and Ray can be okay, but that's fire damage. That's not the point of this build, so I don't want to take that. But for a Meta Magic Quicken Spell, this gives us a ability to cast 2 spells per turn because we can use this to use a bonus action to cast a spell. Probably the best Sorcerer ability in the game. It's pretty crazy. So that's going to be that for level 3. It's pretty strong, honestly. Now for cantrips, we can go with, I think Mage Hand, but again, friends if you're the face of the party because that's very useful. And there's a bit of merit in taking Bone Chill to prevent the target from healing, but the reason I'm putting Mage Hand here is you can drop a water bottle, which doesn't take any action. Your Mage Hand can pick it up and just toss it at someone. They become wet, and then your water attacks will deal double damage. Fantastic. Now for our next spell, I think Misty Step. Although Mirror Image is really nice for that +9 armor class, I just think that there's a lot of benefit to having Misty Steps. Since we're a sorcerer, we don't have the highest armor class. Now the Draconic one does get a bit increased armor class, so that is really nice. But level 4, we get our first feat, which we're obviously taking Charisma up to 18. If you have the Hags here, that can be up to 20 as early as level 4, which is really crazy. So that's what we're going to go with, because the amount of spell save DC and everything that we get from that's just beneficial. Now at level 3, we get ourselves Haste, which is just broken. You can twin Haste on yourself, and that basically becomes a free turn. So if you twin Haste to yourself and another person, let's say your fighter will get 2 actions, so they can attack upwards of 6 times. But you also gain another action, so it's like you didn't even use it as a turn. So you get a free action, you get +2 to armor class, and you become faster. This is really, really powerful. That lasts for 10 turns, which most combat encounters don't go to 10 turns. And we've got Darkness there. But that's going to be that for our level 5. And level 6, we get a nice choice here. So we also get the buff to our cold damage. So elemental affinity damage, so you add your charisma modifier to the damage. So we're going to be adding +4 to cold damage, which is really nice. And then our next feat, we can add in +5. And then we get resistance to that damage type as well. So that's just flawless. Now, I am a fan of Lightning Bolt here, because there isn't any cold damaging spells at level 3. Like, there is the Protection from Energy, which is okay. Sleet Storm, which is not a damaging spell, just interrupts concentration. Creates Ice Surface, though, which is nice, but we get another spell at level 4 that will do that too. A lot of people take Fireball, but Fireball is not really useful here. The reason I'm going to take Lightning Bolt is it attacks in a straight line, which can be doubled with Create Water. And we're going to be using Create Water a lot. I have an outfit here that gives us Create Water, but I want to give you another option here at the end of this video that can really open things up. So we're going to take Lightning Bolt, because 48 damage times 2 is a lot. It's 94 or something, 96 damage. 96 damage is quite a bit at max roll. Now at level 7, we get another spell slot here, and we get level 4 spell Ice Storm. Now this does 46 of cold damage. Most of the early game cold attacks, like Ice Knife, does piercing and cold. This does bludgeoning and cold, so 46. So 24, you can do 48 extra cold damage if you hit on a... you'll do 48 cold damage plus the 2d8 bludgeoning if you hit a target that's wet. And then it creates a nice surface, so we can abuse that by hitting it with fire with another character, or whatever you may do, and then it'll turn into steam, and then you can hit it again to turn it into water and get everyone wet to double damage again. So it's really effective. And then at level 8, this is where we get the feat to take our damage up to +5. And then we get another choice for level 4 spell slots. There is some options that you can go with, like in terms of just Confusion, because Confusion is actually a really good concentration spell. It hits a large area similar to Fireball, and it makes the targets attack at random, wander around aimlessly, and occasionally skip turns. So this can be nice, especially if you're using 2 spells and you quicken a spell. You can do a bit of crowd control and then also damage people. I really like that, but we're going to go with Counterspell, because I get roasted anytime I don't take Counterspell in a build. Even though I'd prefer to have a Wizard with Counterspell, it's still okay to put it on your Sorcerer, because they still get a lot of level 3 spell slots. And then we're going to take, obviously, our Charisma up to 20. That's really, really powerful. So next level, we get ourselves the level 5 spells, which opens things up with the best spell in the game for this build in particular, with Cone of Cold. Make a flurry of frost, crisp air, and condensed snow crystals erupt from your hand. 8d8 of cold damage. So it does upwards of 64, which can be doubled if we're in water, for 128 damage. We're obviously taking that. It's just extremely powerful. It also hits in a very large area, as it's in a cone. I also recommend, if you have a bard, especially a sword bard, you can take this at level 10 magical secrets, so you can have multiple people running Cone of Cold, which is just, it's broken. Also, if you're damaging an enemy and they drop blood, which most of them will, you can freeze that and create an icy surface and then change it into water. So you can get really creative with how this build works. So we're going to take Cone of Cold. It's just extremely powerful. And yeah, we get the level 5 spells there. And then at level 10, we get ourselves another cantrip. So this is your choice. Really, I think Bone Chill. If you're the face of the party, you have to have friends, but Bone Chill to prevent target from healing. Act 3 has some bosses that can be shut down by that completely. So don't be afraid to take it and get in close with Misty Step. Now, for our next spell, we can go with, I really like Hold Monster. It's just extremely powerful. So paralyze a creature, can't move, act, or react. Attacks within 3 meters are always critical. What's nice about this, it does it to anything that's not undead. You're likely going to have a Cleric on your team. So if there is undead, you can just turn undead, and it'll deal incredible amounts of damage. So this is your Hail Mary. If you have like a tough monster, you can just hold it in place, and then have your fighter whack it to death. This is really powerful. So that's what I'm going to take there. Now, subtle spells really, I would say the best one here. Yeah, subtle spell, cast spells will silence. Extended spells okay to create double the surfaces, summons, and conditions, but being able to cast will silence. It only uses 1 sorcery point. That's not a bad use of a sorcery point if you really need to get a spell off. And it's very situational, but you're really going to be using Twinned and Quicken spell the most. Now, at level 11, this is where the Draconic Sorcerer gets everything coming together. Because you get Fly, so you can use your movement speed to fly. This is better than the fly that you get from Storm Sorcerer, because as a Storm Sorcerer, you get at level 1, but it has to be used as a bonus action. This, we can just fly, because we're a dragon. Now, for our final spell, Globe of Invulnerability is fantastic, but since we're going the cold route, Chain Lightning just makes the most sense here, because we're going to be casting water, create water often to double damage of cold damage. We may as well have this in our little book of spells to be able to hit someone with 160 lightning damage maximum. That is crazy. And this will also jump to 3 other enemies within 18 meters. So you can actually shut down pretty much an entire encounter with this. While it's not a cold damage, it's still friggin' amazing. So that's why we're going to take that and accept. Now, we can go here if we want to get another feat. You could take Constitution up to 18, or you could take, like, there's a few options, like Spell Sniper, learn a cantrip, the number you need to roll a critical hit with spells is reduced by 1. That's okay. It's a decent one, but Warcaster also to maintain concentration on spells, which is good. But there's armor, or there's a necklace that can help give you a similar benefit to that. Ability Improvement is great, but what I think works best for this build, adding in 1 level Cleric. Reason being, we get the ability to give ourselves heavy armor, and we get the ability to cast Create Water without having to use this gear here. Because this outfit, the reason I'm wearing that outfit, not just because of the appearance, but because it will allow you to create water, which is a big benefit. Like, that's what this whole build is about. So we can take this for our cantrips, not a huge deal there. I personally like the Tempest Domain, because this is going to give the Life Domain gives you heavy armor, but this gives you heavy armor and martial weapons, which is kind of nice. War Domain does the same. But the reason I like this is if you get attacked, you can use a reaction to strike back at an attacking creature, dealing 2 to 16 lightning damage. So if you have Create Water set up, that's 16 times 2 damage, 32 damage. That's pretty nice. We also get Thunder Wave and Fog Cloud, are 2 spells that are really nice just to have. For a deity, you can go with whatever one you want. Talos, Destructive Force of Nature makes sense here. Now that's why I had the Wisdom at 12, so that we get to choose 2 spells. Create Water, fantastic spell. This doesn't use our Wisdom, whereas something like Command does. Command's really great, but I wouldn't put it on this build. Sanctuary is really nice though. You're an ally cannot be targeted if you until you attack a hermit creature. So that's really nice. Shield of Faith is also another good concentration if you want. Bonus action, increase armor class by 2. I also like Healing Word, so you can pick up a downed ally. This is a bonus action as well. It does up to 18 meters. So if you have a teammate that goes down and you're a sorcerer next turn, you can use Healing Word to pick them back up. Bless is another really great option, but you might have competition for your concentration with something like Hold Person. So Healing Word or Bless would be really the best options here. It's not really super important, but yeah, getting into the gear side of things and how to make this build really powerful. So we do get a nice Create Water here from the, and you see how large that is. That's really, really big. It's the level 4 Create Water, so you actually get a really nice one. It says level 1 transmutation spell, but this is the upcasted version. You see the little up arrow there. So this outfit, the Wave Mother's Robe, gives you resistance to fire and cold damage, which you already have resistance to cold damage, but if the wearer is standing in a water surface at the start of the turn, they heal 1 to 4 health points. So, as I said, we want to create water and use it to our advantage. So, you get that level 4 Create Water, +1 armor class too. So we have an armor class of 22. Not like the best armor class in the world, but it's pretty okay. So I'm going to put that on Gale just because it's funny seeing him wear it. But we can also just use heavy armor. So we can go like the armor pertinence here, which gives us 26 armor class. Even if you want, anyone can equip the Helldusk armor to give 27, but that's also better off used on someone that doesn't have heavy armor, because we can wear heavy armor, so we're chilling. But yeah, I would recommend having heavy armor on this build, because it's just, as you said, 26 armor class is really nice. Now, for the equipment, the Cold Brim Hat. Once per turn, any condition inflicted on a target also implies 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost, which reduces their dexterity saving throws, and you can freeze them with this. So this is a pretty nice hat. You get this from Balthazar's Lair in Act 2, so pretty much everyone's going to end up grabbing this at some point, making it a great option. But also, in Act 3, you can go to the Sorceress Sundries and buy the Birthright Hat. And I like the Birthright Hat because it'll take your Charisma up to 22, so that gives us +6 damage to our cold spells. That's probably better, just for the fact of being able to deal more damage. Cloak of Protection is pretty good, armor class +1, really nice. But we can also go with the Vivacious Cloak, gain 8 temporary health points after casting a spell within melee range, and we're going to be doing that sometimes because Cone of Cold is pretty much a melee spell. So you can go with that. I like the +1 armor class, so if you want this on someone else, you can go with the that other robe there. Armor Pertinence is nice because it gives us Blade Ward, so we take half damage from physical sources, and we get a +1d8 or +1d4 to saving throws. But if you have someone else that's going to be using that, really any other heavy armor that you got on your side here can help. Just the reason we want to go with heavy armor is just for the increased armor class. But even with the Wave Mother's robe, you still have a decent armor class, so you can go with that. It's pretty easy to get, but I really do just like the heavy armor just for 26 armor class. Daredevil Gloves, +1 to sell attack rolls, your ranged weapons. Your ranged spell attacks are made as melee. You can turn this on or off, so that's really nice. Ranged spells are made as melee spells, so you can have a higher hit chance with that. Now you can go with other things like the Winter's Clutches. So when the wielder damages cold, or when the wielder deals cold damage that inflicts 2 turns of encrusted with frost. So again, that's really goes alongside the Cold Brim Hat. You can set up cold damage. Evasive Shoes just for +1 armor class, fantastic. We just want that because there's, out of all the gear options, boots are typically the weakest source. And then the Morning Frost. This is our, I would say, the second best option, but really great early on. So you deal, if you hit someone with this, it deals 1d4 cold damage. But when we deal cold damage, we deal an additional 1 cold damage. So we get a +7 with our charisma modifier plus that 1 cold damage, so that's 7 extra damage. And in water, that becomes 14. So while there's just 1 extra point, just think about all the times you're going to be attacking with Create Water, because you can set up Create Water outside of combat and it doesn't aggro anyone. So do that before you start a fight. And dealing cold damage with a spell possibly inflicts chilled upon the target. So yeah, it can actually stack up really nice. But I'm going to show you one other option here. Now, the Marka Heshkir, where is that at? There it is, Marka Heshkir. So this is actually, like, it makes sense for this build to use this weapon because we're a Draconic Sorcerer, and this gives us Kareska's Favor, which is the Dragon God. And there's 2 really great options. There's the Frost of the Dark Winter, so you gain resistance to cold damage, you already have that. But your cold spells deal additional cold damage equal to your proficiency bonus, so additional damage on top of our additional damage. This will give us Ice Storm and Cone of Cold to be able to cast for free. Now, I really like that, but, Bolts of Doom. We don't have resistance to lightning damage, so getting that's nice. And when we use that, we get Chain Lightning alongside our Lightning Bolt. So we get 2 free casts. We'll get a lot of damage off with Chain Lightning, because you can set that up. But yeah, I'll show you what it looks like. It looks pretty cool, because the staff becomes all lightning, and then your shield becomes lightning. And then we get a free Chain Lightning, and then we can also use the Arcane Battery to cast Chain Lightning, or Cone of Cold, really, whatever one you want to go with. So you can cast Chain Lightning 3 times. Level 6 spell being able to cast 3 times is crazy. Well, that's not a cold spell, don't get me wrong. This build is all about the cold. It's still very powerful. Chain Lightning is probably one of the best spells in the game. So that is typically our way about going about things. Early game damage, because I know a lot of people care about the early game. What we want to do is use our Create Water, which I'm not fine. There it is. You can also upcast this if you want. So that was the Wave Mother's Robe. At upcast is 6, I would never do that, but it covers a very large area. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't aggro people, so you can create water. People are like, bah! It'll show invisible people. So if there's anyone invisible, just cast Create Water. It'll show them on the battlefield. It ruins their invisibility. And then once this Create Water's there, all your cold damage deals double damage. So you can go ahead with the Cone of Cold. I'm not going to do this because if we attack anything, Scratch gets angry. But we can also cast Mage Hand, and then what's nice about the Mage Hand is we can just drop ourselves a water bottle there. See if I can find a water bottle in my crazy inventory. But yeah, if you drop a water bottle, you can just get it to pick up the water bottle and throw it for you. So that's fantastic. You can also get to throw you health potions and all that too. And typically early game, we're going to go on to Create Water and then go with the Chromatic Orb Cold. 2d8 cold damage. But if you upcast it, it does upward to 56 damage, which is really nice. But this is our early game source of damage because it's just a great spell overall for the damage that it can deal. And it turned it all to ice, and unfortunately we got aggroed. So that is the Ice Cold Sorcerer build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.